Hello, it's Jack and Crystal here with Awkward Conversations and Dirty Secrets. Welcome to I think this is number 8 podcast. I always do that. I'm always like, is it number? I can't remember what number we're at. If you heard right before the podcast, our little advertisement about anchor.fm /wings and relationships. If you go there, that's ways you could help us sponsor us by, 99 cents, $4.99, $9.99 a month. Helps us maybe buy some more equipment. It helps our podcast get to more people. And we appreciate anybody who can spend a little extra couple of pennies helping us get our podcast out there. So that's why we do the little anchor advertisement beforehand. Also, we like to talk about those who are watching on YouTube. And we do have this podcast streamed on YouTube as well as Spotify, Apple, Google, all the places that you listen to your podcast at, as well as Anchor. But we're this is our last bottle. It's our last bottle that we've got of our last order from nakedwines.com. And this is you know how to say them better than I do. What is it?
Cabernet.
A Cabernet. So it's pretty good. We're having that tonight with our podcast. But you can go to nakedwines.com /wings50 and get $50 off, or wings100 and get $100 off your order of Naked Wines. And again, that's a great deal. We got 6 bottles in. Every one of them were great. And one thing that's great is that you can try new wines. I actually tried one that I didn't think I would like, and I loved it. It was a what was it? A Zinfandel?
It was a Chardonnay.
Oh, I'm sorry, the Chardonnay. I never knew I'd like a Chardonnay, but I was very thrilled to try something new that I really like. Because normally, I'm really big into the what do I like?
Sangrias.
Mm-hmm. And so the chances for me to try something new was fantastic. And the best way to do that is just get the 6 different bottles or 12 different bottles through nakedwines.com, which is our sponsor. We do make a little penny too off of it, but it does not cost you any extra. So again, thank you for watching. We've had people from Canada and I can't think of all the countries, Germany and Australia and different places who have actually listened to our podcast. So that's fantastic that we're actually having people from different countries listen to our podcast, as well as our sponsor, our sponsorship, but our watching. Like some people younger now watched it, and some people older. So the demographics from the age go from 18 to over 60. So we appreciate anybody and everybody who stops in and listens to our podcast. So again, this is number 8, and tonight we're going to talk about, what are we talking about?
So we were talking about how to keep the fires burning in your relationship, and actually the top 10 relationship goals to keep the fires burning.
Yeah, so this is fantastic because not only is it a good subject matter for anybody who's in a relationship, but this was Crystal's first blog on wingsandrelationships.com. So if you go to wingsrelationship.com and you go to the blog section, you'll see that this is actually her very first blog that she wrote for the website. And so, you can actually go there and kind of read some of the things we're talking about tonight. So if you like to read, if you're a visual person, YouTube, wingsrelationship.com, all those areas. And make sure that you're sending us your questions, comments, and likes and things that you want to crystal@wingsrelationships.com, to her email. We'd love to hear from you also. So let's dig in. So the top 10 relationship goals to keep the fires burning.
So this is one we get asked a lot, and for good reason. I'm sure you guys see the hashtag all the time, relationship goals, because everybody has relationship goals, things that they want for their relationships, things that we all strive for. And we all want our relationships to, have that fire and to keep the fire burning. We get asked that a lot, how do we stay with the fire? How do we keep our relationship so hot? It's not something that just comes. You have to really work at it. It's not, something that's just there. It's definitely something that you have to make a conscious effort of. And that's definitely something that there's a reason that I wanted to make that my first blog, because it was something that was really important in my life. Because I think it's a topic that a lot of people out there struggle with. Whether you've been in a relationship for a short amount of time or a very long time, whether you're married or dating, I think it's something that's on a lot of people's minds out there. So yeah, we should all strive to kind of keep our relationships alive and flourishing. We all have to make that conscious effort in order to be successful at it. And I think one of the biggest struggles is it can't be one-sided. I think that a lot of people have that issue where it's like, one partner is really trying hard to keep it going and to keep it hot, and they're doing the candlelit dinners, and they're making these plans, and they're buying these sexy outfits, or they're making these romantic getaway plans, and the other partner is just like
doing nothing.
So that makes it really difficult on the party that's trying so hard to keep that going, and that makes it's really frustrating when that is the situation that you're in. So we'll talk about that a little bit more here in a little bit. But both parties have to be equally committed to strengthen their qualities in order for this to work and really stay hot. So this is kind of the top 10 list according to research. We all kind of have our ideas, but according to research, this is the top 10 list. So be honest always. It sounds simple, right? It's not always simple for everyone, but just let it be simple. That sounds really stupid, but it's not. I mean, just let it be simple. Don't lie to each other. I mean, when you start being dishonest with each other, it's so easy to just be more dishonest. When you lie, it's so easy to lie more and more and more. And you're like, we all know people that lie, right? And you catch them in a lie and you're like, why would you lie about something like that? Like, that's so silly. But, in order for you to keep a relationship strong and really have a good, close, fun, hot, sexy relationship with someone, you have to have good honesty. So that's number one, first and foremost. Number two, make your relationship a priority. A lot of people do not do this anymore, and it's really difficult in our society today because we all are so busy. We live in a world where most couples, both parties work. So both work full time, whether it's whether you're parents or not. It used to be like mom, dad, one of them worked, one of them stayed home. It's not that way anymore. Most of the time both parents work, and if you're not parents, you still work, and then when you come home, you have things to do when you're at home. A lot of us have things that we do on the side, like Jack and I, we have other businesses that we do on the side. And even if you don't, when you come home, you got dinner to make, you got laundry to do, all that fun stuff. So there's always stuff that needs to be done, and it's real easy to put your relationship on the back burner, but you can't do that. And so you have to, that's where that conscious effort comes back into play, where you just really have to, on the daily, remember to keep that in check. Like, your partner comes first. I mean, going back into self-love and self-care, you come first, obviously, but your partner's right alongside of that. You have to make that, definitely right alongside where you stand in that, because if you don't, your relationship will suffer. So don't make excuses. Oh, I'm too busy. I'm so busy. I work all the time. Well, wah, we all do. So that's no excuse. We all have the same amount of hours in our day. And I say this all the time. I probably sound like a broken record, but there's 24 hours in the day, right? Okay. I don't care if you're a lawyer, a doctor, a stay-at-home mom. We all have 24 hours in our day. So, what you choose to do in the 24 hours is up to you. So you have to ask yourself, what's important to you? What would you do without your partner, without the love of your life? What would your life be like without that person? So you have to decide, is that a priority to you? And if you can't imagine your life without them, then you need to make that a priority. Definitely. So, number 3, stay intimate. This is a must. There are a lot of couples out there that lose that. Some people lose it pretty quickly. Some people lose it over years of their relationship. Everyone needs to feel needed and wanted sexually. It's the same for men and women alike. A lot of people have it in their heads that it's a, women only. Oh, I have a headache, right? Like, oh, I don't, but it's not always women. A lot of times it's men, that they stop wanting to like have sex after a certain period in the relationship. Am I right? Like, sometimes it's men. It's not always the woman. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. But I know people and have known people in my life and in their relationships that this happened to equally. And research has shown, time and again, that it's definitely both parties. So intimacy itself is a, way of overcoming tension, insecurity, and feelings of seclusion. It strengthens the bond between a couple and symbolizes love and affection. So sex is a stellar medicine for your relationship. All of those things, like, they're so meaningful and they really help your relationship. When you are not doing that action with your partner, it's one of the ways in which your relationship will suffer. It's part of an intimate relationship. And there's so many people that, like I said, are not doing that. And a lot of people don't see anything wrong with that. But I'm telling you, if you're not, like, if that's missing from your relationship, there is an issue and it needs to be addressed. There's something, and it's not just the physical act. That's not what I'm saying. Like, there's something deeper than that. Wouldn't you say?
Right.
There's definitely something else going on. So that's definitely something that you need to address with your partner. Like, you need some coaching on that. You guys need to see like a therapist for that. Something that has to be, at the top of, one of your priorities within your relationship. So you want to take over here?
So that kind of ties in with the next one, because if you're having sexual issues in some sort of fashion, you need to learn to communicate. And that's the next one, is communicate. And because communication is what's going to help you get past that. So if you don't talk to your partner and tell them, say, hey, you know what? I feel like maybe we're lost that loving feeling. You lost that love. So anyway, you lost that love and feeling, then you're gonna suffer. And so communicate is definitely is key, right? So you want to make sure that you are communicating, and that is, like I said, the next number we're at. So it can be hard. It's sometimes I'm good at gabbing, like the social butterfly, blah blah blah. But sometimes I'm a little more rigid when it comes to like a tough conversations and actually sitting down and talking. So especially if one or both of us are not good at talking or expressing our feelings, and that's something that I will have to continue to work on myself. I think I'm better than I used to be, and I think I keep growing in that aspect. But it is imperative, right? It's imperative that it's something that you need to learn to be good at, and the more you do it, you're going to get better at it. The more you open up, the more you express yourself, the more you talk about it, you're going to get better. So many relationships have failed due to lack of communication. So how many times you've seen people in divorce court or talking about their divorce, and they was like, we just didn't talk. We just didn't ever, communicate about things. And so communication is definitely, it circumferences all we're talking about, I really think. So don't let that be you. Trust me, it may be awkward at first, but you both feel so much better after the dreaded conversation, right? So we talk about naked wines. Get your glass of wine, go sit down somewhere, go to a porch, to your favorite room, stand in the kitchen, wherever it is that you two can just feel comfortable together and have some wine or whatever your favorite drink is, and just sit down and talk. You don't have to start out like big time serious. So here's our problems. You don't have to start like that, but just talk about each other. How was your day? What things have been bothering you? You seemed a little down, and just kind of get that conversation flowing. And don't be feel obligated to jump right into certain things. But again, it's going back to number one: be honest, right? Be honest about your feelings. Crystal and I sat down and had some tough conversations, and I think that in the long run, at the time they were tough, and sometimes maybe it didn't feel like maybe the conversation went well. Maybe it felt like, maybe it wasn't as good as you thought, but then later on you go down the road and you go, what? It was a good thing that we had that conversation, because it probably did build and get to the point where maybe the second conversation or third conversation, you opened up more.
And such a relief after you have that conversation, like, oh my God, I feel like so much better now. Like, you can breathe. And I just had a thought, like, after you said that, a lot of people, I think, and this has been shown too, they don't know how to communicate. And that sounds silly, but I've been there myself. Like, how do you start that conversation? Like, we as people and as couples, we know how to fight really good sometimes and argue, but we don't know how to really communicate well and approach each other like, human beings and talk things out constructively, especially when, you're in a difficult situation, or if you've been in a situation where you've really been more on the negative side of things, or you haven't been communicating. That's when you really kind of have to learn how to communicate. And sometimes you might need some help with that. But learning how to communicate and kind of taking that first step towards that, I think.
We did a podcast kind of about that, about communication, about listening and learning and respect. And so go back and listen to that podcast, because that will definitely help you about the communication part, for sure.
Active listening, and don't be afraid to say and ask. Say what you need and ask for things. But the more you do it, the more you can do it.
Right. More it's going to become something that you're actually going to like doing, because you're going to be like, I feel better. I feel like we bonded, and so you definitely want to have that.
For sure.
Next one is about be friends, right? So what'd you get together for in the first place? Don't forget why you fell in love, right? You fell in love, of course, you first saw her across the room and she was beautiful, And of course, you were physically attracted for sure. But you know, when you started talking and spending time together, you became friends, right? And so just remember that. That's one of the keys to the communication part. Also, is that you're friends. You talk about things. Most people are attracted to each other in some physical way, yes, but there's usually a deeper love than physical appeal. The ability to be good friends is that I think I found my soulmate. So how many of y'all have said that? And you said, I think I found my soulmate, and you've used that term like in stuff you've posted on social media, me and my soulmate. And you found that sense of love, and you long for it all your life, and you have that now. And so don't lose that. That's how you become that friends, and you laugh together, you be silly together, listen to your favorite bands, watch your favorite movies, go to do things you like to do. If you like to go to sports events, or you like to go to trivia, or you like to go to concerts, make time for it, right? Because you should be best friends. And so you're doing all the things you want to do together, and it's because you both love doing them together, right? Crystal and I go a lot of places, and I had one of them say the other day on social media that Crystal and I are like the power couple, his favorite power couple. And it's funny because really and truly we're not a power couple. We're just a regular couple who like to help other people see the things that we found in each other. We both had our bad relationships. We both had our bad marriages, and we just happened to find each other, and we've adopted a lot of these things that we talk about because we've had our ups and downs and rocky hills, and just like any other couple would, but we're trying to work through them and figure them out and learn. And so as we do, we gather this data, we research, we talk about it, and then we listen to what the other one does. So Crystal writes blogs and talks about relationships, and I do other things. And so the different things we do, we try to do them together, and that's why we're friends. Next, be loyal. So need I say more? This is easy. I don't understand why people can't do it. Just love the person fully and completely. Throw all your focus and extra time into your relationship. That's why you wear the ring, right? You gave the ring to your spouse, or if you're not married, you've given those vows. You've talked to each other and said that you're the only person for me in my life. So why would you ever stop being that? Be loyal. The minute you stop being loyal, you stop all these other things. You stop the friendship, you stop the communication, you stop the intimacy. So you got to be loyal to that person you're with, and it shouldn't be something you have to work at, right? It should be easy. This is I don't understand. Personally, Chris and I both talked about this. We don't understand how people have affairs, cheat, do things if they supposedly really love somebody. It's heartbreaking for that other person because they are in love with you, and if you're not loyal and in love with them back, then you're hurting your relationship. And really and truly, that's a sad thing.
And
that doesn't keep your fires burning.
So. It doesn't, and those things kind of go hand in hand, honestly. And then this has been proven by research. If you keep your fires burning, your partner is much less likely to be looking for love somewhere else, because people, if they are shown love and attention, that is what our partners long for the most. And people that are, broken up or divorced, those are the main reasons. It's not because they don't love each other anymore. 90% of the time, they do still love that person. Not always, but most of the time, they do still love or care for that person. It's that they felt neglected, or they felt like that person did not give them any attention. That person lost interest in them. They did not keep the fires burning. So those things very much go hand in hand. So if you're not keeping the fires burning, your person may be at some point bouncing on you. So
tell us a way to keep the fires burning in this next one.
So definitely, another one here, be ecstatic to see your lover every day. So this is something we do every day, and we're genuine with it. Like, we can't wait to get home and see each other. That may sound cheesy, but when you walk through the door, have the biggest smile on your face to see the love of your life, and embrace them with a hug and kiss like you're meeting them for the first time ever, or like, you know, you haven't seen them in months. When you wake in the morning, say good morning. When you go to bed, say good night. Always embrace, give a hug and a kiss, or some little spark of love to show them how much they mean to you. Trust me when I say they will always notice. And if you haven't been doing this, it might feel a little weird at first. But it's one of those things, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it. And, you know, your partner might even think it's weird at first, but if they say they don't like it, they're lying. So
Be like,
I
so
mean,
be like Rhett Butler. Tell her she needs to be kissed, and she needs to be kissed often, right?
Yeah.
So be cheesy, be whatever. Don't just let that stuff die.
No.
I'm cheesy a lot of times, but it's part of just the way I am. So
anyone that's in a relationship, if you know if they didn't like that, they wouldn't be in a relationship. If they didn't like to be touched or kissed or hugged, they would be alone, right? I mean, they would not be, you know, a lot of people don't admit that they like that because, you know, and a lot of men are, you know, strong, you know, they may not ever come out and say that, but we are all human, and humans need physical touch every day. And when we receive that, it's physically proven that our lives are very different. We perform better in all aspects of our lives. We're happier. Like, it affects our lives dramatically. And your relationship will be better. Like, just having that touch, that physical touch with your partner every day. It doesn't have to be sexual, it doesn't have to be intimate, but just, you know, hugging your partner every day, just touching them and like looking into their eyes and saying, I love you, you know, or I really appreciate that you did that for me. Like, that does something to, you know, your person. Like,
or spank that butt.
If you don't believe me, like, and you're not doing these things, start doing them and wait and see what happens. And if you don't see a difference, I'd be shocked. So, support each other. You will both have trying times, obviously, and wonderful times. We all do. Be supportive of each other, whether you're good at it or not. Some of us are not the best cheerleaders, but get good at it, or at least pretend to be. This is your job, okay? So sometimes it's really hard, especially if you're also going through a tough time yourself. It's hard to remember, like, that your person might be having a tough time too. And they might forget about you, and that makes it really tough to be like supportive of them. But that's something that we really need to remember to do. You know, the good times and the bad, no matter whether you're dating or married. You know, in marriage it says, you know, for better or for worse, but I believe it's the same if you're dating. You know, you need to be there for your partner. It's really important. There's nothing worse in the world than, you know, to feel like you're alone, you know, when you're going through something. Like, when you have someone that's there for you, like when you're on top, is awesome. But someone that's there for you when you've had like the worst day ever, or something really bad has happened to you, that means more than anything. It's the worst thing in the world when you have somebody and they're not there for you, like, that sucks. Don't be that person. That's terrible. So your person expects your arms to hold them and tell them it's going to be okay, and to help them. Be that person. Let them cry. Ask them what you can do to help, and be genuine about it. You need to help them get through this time. There may be times they do better than you. This is also a big reason that a lot of couples break up. A lot of times a partner will do better than the other one, and the partner that's not doing, they kind of feel left behind. And the partner that's excelling, they feel like they've kind of outgrown this partner. The partner that feels left behind starts to feel a little bit resentful. So in turn, they kind of grow apart, and it causes a breakup. There's really not a need for that. It just, you have to have communication about it. Encourage them, cheer them on. It's just a time in their life where they're excelling. It may not be your time to excel. Your time may come later, but be there for them and support them. Don't be resentful of them. Lift them up and be happy for them and their achievement, and be genuine about it. Sometimes that's hard, especially if you're wanting that for yourself and it's just not your time. I've been there. A lot of us have been there, but it's a lot of those things are just about timing. So be happy for your partner. You want to do the next?
So I agree with that. Supporting each other, because now I don't get that sometimes. You hear about guys like relationship breaks down because the woman does better and makes more money or has a better job. And me, I'm all for it. I'm like, do it. I think it's great. So it's kind of flabbergasts me sometimes in that sense. So the thing you want to do too is explore new territory together. There's nothing that grows a relationship stronger like exploring new territory together. Just the two of you on a journey alone, trust me, we did that in Hawaii, we've done that in Ireland, and we've done that around here, just exploring new areas. And wow, the excitement of just you two doing things is super romantic, super exciting. And I think that that's something that everybody needs, is that time together. You're going to have times with your kids, you're going to have times with family, but there's times that you two need to go do things together. You will discover new and exciting things and experience strange and wonderful places. No distractions, no other people. It's pretty exciting. Of course, when we went places, we met people, but our goal, we started out in the morning by ourselves, and we went to certain places to see and do and to be together to experience those. And it's to me, it's exciting. I'm the one pumped up and ready to go. I'm like up and ready, and I can't sleep because I'm excited about checking out new things. And I've always been that way, period. But it's definitely more better. It's definitely better. It's definitely better with Crystal and I doing it together. So
yeah,
it's very exciting that way.
I think that's a big one, and it's probably different for everyone, but I think that's really important in the whole scheme of things, is for couples to explore new territory together. Sometimes you just need to get away, especially, like we talked about earlier, when you're so engulfed in the hustle and bustle of everyday life. We get so busy, and it's like the house crap, and laundry and work and family and your kids if you have kids, and the dog and the car and everything else. And it's like, man, you plan a trip together or something, and you're like, oh, in 3 months we're out of here, you're going somewhere and you have this to look forward to, and you're like 3 states away, or even better, like a country away. You're completely like there somewhere else and nobody is there to bother you. You don't have to answer the phone if you don't want to. Like, there's just something about it, and it's like a whole different, like, you learn so much about each other. Like, Jack and I learned tons about each other, like when we went and traveled, and that's kind of how we started, like pretty early on in our relationship, was traveling. And
Yep.
we learned a ton about each other, because we had so much time without other people and distractions, and it was like an adventure. It was so exciting and new and just different for us. So I think that's where a lot of the fire started and was kept in our relationship.
And we can, the thing about it is we always look back on those things, and those are good memories. You know, you can look back on them. That to me kind of helps burn the fires too. Ignite the fires, help them go. Is sometimes look back on things you did, and then plan on some other things, like share your future goals, because your future's together, right? So if you're going to spend eternity or the rest of your life, how you're going to look at it, it's important to be aware of each other's plans and goals. So share this early in your relationship, like we did, doing and going and talking. And then when plans and ideas, when your plans and ideas change, make sure you're communicating them, going back to communication. And so you'll understand, hey, you know what, we really talked about this avenue, but what do you think about this avenue? And figure that out. You never know what might change, but you got to keep sharing your goals. The goals change. That's the way life is. When we first started talking about doing relationship stuff and doing things, podcast was never our thought, but we changed and we've gone this route, and really like this route that we're going with the podcast. But it's the same thing with, possibly in our future, do we want to look at maybe living somewhere else? And we've talked about that, and exploring more of the world and different things that we want to do in life. So it's always that constant change, that constant communication. It's important to talk to each other about these potential changes before they happen, right? So you don't want to just spring it and be like, guess what? We're moving tomorrow. Yeah, you want to make sure that you're talking about it and getting each other's input on it, because your future goals, if you're sharing them together, they should be a communication type bonding between you two. And so that's really something that people sometimes forget, and they kind of lose track of goals, right? The future is like, oh, now we're married, we're together, the end. It's like, and it's not the end. There's so much in life that you need to experience and do together, and don't stop, right? I mean, we had the COVID happen and different things, we weren't able to travel, and so do little things, like go to the beach or the lake, or somewhere, find some hobbies that you can do together. But it doesn't always have to cost you a ton of money, and it doesn't have to be extravagant either. When you can do that, do it. But when you can't, find things that doesn't cost a lot of money, doesn't be extravagant, but do them together, plan it, talk about it. Trust me, you'll be happy you did, because that's part of that communication thing. That's part of that being honest. As you can tell, you take these 10 things we just talked about, all of them tie in together, right? And it's going to get to that point. It makes your intimacy more exciting, and that's what we're talking about here, is how to get those fires burning. And it's, everybody thinks, well, it's her and her sexy drawers, and that's kind of deal, but that's not, always the case, because that definitely gets your fires burning, especially for us guys, you know what I'm talking about. But you've got to do other things, and it's not always about panties, it's not always about the sexual part, but I tell you what, you put in these future goals, you go see things together, you communicate, you're honest, you do all these things, guess what, then it's going to make that intimacy time even better than you thought it could be. So.
Absolutely. So yeah, in conclusion, all of those things will keep the fire going. Follow them every day. You just have to keep those things in check. If you fail to do those things, to feed the seeds of your love life, it can die, as we've all seen. Maybe not today, maybe not a year from now, maybe not ever, but it will never have the fire it once did. But you can change this, now. So the other thing I kind of wanted to do now was, because a lot of people, we kind of go through these things and then people want to know specifics, like, okay, well, how exactly can I do this? So how exactly can you put these things into practice? So one of the best things you can do is rediscover yourself, who you are. So make yourself exciting. Rediscover your lover. So when it gets boring, you gotta switch some stuff up a little bit. So a lot of times we stop trying to learn about each other. Like, there's always something to learn about the person that you're with. Be a little bit more mysterious. Redefine yourself. Make yourself more mysterious. Keep your partner guessing. Don't be boring. Like, this is attractive and exciting. So I'm pretty sure, like, Jack's like always like a little bit like, I don't know what she's gonna do next. So I try to be exciting, and I'm just like random sometimes, a lot of times. So, and that's just kind of my personality anyway, but be fun and exciting, because that keeps things interesting. So some examples, because I know y'all are all thinking like, what do you mean? Like, what can I do? Well, some of y'all at least are probably thinking that. So, in the bedroom, dress up, role play, things like that. If you really want to get sexy with it, a little more downplayed, just like a candlelight dinner or surprise dinner, like things you don't normally do. Or, if you do normally do that, who doesn't normally do that? If, the opposite partner doesn't normally do that, maybe they can start doing that, something like that. Skydiving. Hey, let's go skydiving. I just got tickets, or I bought passes or whatever. Things off the bucket list. Dance naked in the rain. Like, be naked on the couch when your partner comes home from work. Like, just blow their mind. Like, these are all things that you can do to keep your relationship interesting and fun. And I know y'all are probably all laughing, and maybe your jaws are dropped right now.
blow their mind, right?
So, but these are ways that
be like, what?
Yeah, and maybe some of you have kids, like, hey, maybe it's time to kick your kids out for the night, or take them to mom's, or, you've got to make time and priority for your relationship. So, go get a makeover, do something crazy, run away together for the weekend. You have to escape the ordinary and the mundane in order to keep your fires burning in your relationship. And we understand you can't do that all the time. We don't do this like we do it a lot, but we can't do it all the time. I mean, but we definitely try to very consistently make an effort, and now it's become such a habit for us that we're always like, what are we going to do this?
What are we going to do now?
What are we going to do tomorrow? What are we going to do this Friday? So, and it's fun because like we really look forward to, like, if we don't have something planned, like we're like,
or just trying to up the other one, be like, well,
exactly.
she did this, so guess what I'm gonna do? Or
trying to one up each other, and then it becomes like super fun and exciting, almost like a game. So it gets to be a lot of fun. So what are some ways that you can kind of break free from the monotony of all of the everyday just blah? I know this has surely sparked some ideas in your minds.
Think about, you've been together a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and you're kind of like, well, I kind of know what everything my partner likes, and guess what? You may not. You think you do, but have you really, really, really dived into their fantasies and their thoughts and their, like Crystal and I, again, not getting too deep into our personal lives, but we've been together 5 years, married for 2, and I promise you, just a few weeks ago, we learned a couple new things about each other that we didn't know. We were like, oh, well, interesting. And so,
yes.
and that's part of that communication. Future goals,
yes.
and just in that talking about, oh, well, well, let's, yeah, okay.
And we're pretty open. We talk a lot. So if we're finding out new things about each other, I can promise you, like Jack said. And if you don't know how to find out those things, ask. I promise you, your partner is not going to say, I'm not going to tell you that.
Right.
Especially if it's something sexy.
Yeah. If they do say, I can't tell you that, and then divulge one of your secrets, right? One of the things you like that you thought, well, nobody's ever going to really like this idea because it's kind of off the wall a little bit, maybe a little different, and you may find out that, guess what, that may have been the exact thing they were thinking was off the wall and different, and you just really, really, really strengthened your time together and your intimacy, and then they might be like, hey, I'm not really into that, and you go, okay, well, you're not into that, so you learn something about each other in the time being,
Yeah.
Not everybody's gonna like everything exactly the same, but you may find out some things that you did like that you didn't know that they liked, right? And that old saying, we go back to one of the other podcasts, sometimes take one for the team, right? You do something is not really your favorite thing for the other partner, because guess what? It's going to blow their mind. They're going to love it, and then that's going to make you feel better. And at the same time, do the same back for them.
And sometimes you might find out you do actually like it.
Right.
But like Jack said, if they're not real open and forthcoming about what they like and what they don't like, there's no better way to kind of ease it out of them than to say, well, I'll tell you what I like.
That's right. Don't you remember the little kids always like, I'll tell you a secret if you tell me your secret. So okay.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And it's the same thing. We're adults. It's no different.
Yeah.
You're thinking, I've been with this partner of mine, for 5, 10 years. I know everything. Well, you don't. You think you may, and you're still going to find out stuff that you didn't know. And things change, right? Because you may have fetish, or what was the ones we talked about? We talked about another podcast, fetishes, and I forgot what the other ones were. Kinks, everything.
Yeah.
You may change down the road.
Yeah.
You may, one point you're like, I don't like feet, and the next thing you know, you go, okay, can I suck your toes? You don't know.
You never know
what may change.
Yep.
Because you may find something attractive about your partner that before you weren't into, and then you're kind of like, you know what? Now I'm kind of into that. So.
And if your partner's reluctant, you can start wearing something a little bit sexy and a little bit more sexy and a little less clothing, and then you might be surprised what comes after that. I'm just saying.
Right. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to express yourself with your partner, because if you can't express yourself with your best friend, your partner, then who can you express it with? And there's nobody better to do it with than your partner, your best friend. That's the best person to be yourself with, and tell some of your deep dark secrets, and so
Yes.
that's another thing that will definitely help keep those fires burning. Is expressing new and different things you like, and sometimes try some things you didn't know that you would like. You both were kind of like, oh, that's kind of weird. I guess we'll try it. You never know.
Yes.
You might both like it. If you don't, at least you can say, you know what, that was a weird, fun experience. We ain't doing that again.
Let's not do that again.
We're not doing that again.
Yeah.
But you tried, and you had fun trying and talking about it.
You can say you did that.
You tried, done that, bungee jumped naked.
Yes. Sometimes
I'm not doing that because I don't want to bungee jump.
I don't either. Sometimes these conversations bring up a lot of questions, and we would be happy to answer any of those. And just so you guys know, we love doing these podcasts. They are actually like free little coaching sessions. We are happy to dive into those a little bit more with you. If you want to reach out to us at our email or any of our social media platforms, or if you have any questions about any of the things that we talked about, we'd be happy to discuss those with you.
I would love just to have some emails saying, hey, we appreciated it, we loved it, or your thoughts. Maybe you didn't like it.
Yes.
Tell us, what, you're stupid. We're not going to know what really is different. You like, don't like, we don't hear from you. So those people that, in Germany and Ukraine and Ireland and different places that listen to our podcast, email us, crystal@wingsrelationship.com, jack@wingsrelationships.com, because we'd love to hear from you. And nothing better makes our day than somebody that we haven't, don't know, or emails us and tells us something. I've gone places, where people, talk about stuff, and they've actually said, I think we were at a concert a couple weeks ago, and I was standing in line to get me a beer, and a couple legs behind me go, hey, you're Jack, right? We watch your YouTube. And so that's pretty exciting. They were excited to talk to somebody who, that they had watched and learned something from. So we definitely want the same thing, is that we're excited to learn something from you all. So we'd love to hear from you.
Definitely. And you definitely can follow us on our YouTube. We both have YouTube as well, if you would like to watch us on our YouTube.
Right, because some people want to watch the podcast. Some people are visual. We have a lot of things below in the podcast, in our description, Naked Wines, Anchor, all of our link tree to all of our different things that we do. Because like I said, we do a podcast, we do relationship coaching, but we do photography and video and so much more. And so we'd love to share that all with you. So anything else?
I think that's it.
All right, so top 10 goals to keep the fires burning. Thank you for listening, and we appreciate it. Y'all have a wonderful night.